could in fact be used, so that the district could say that that everybody had to in fact register guns. It could have restrictions on who could own a gun. I would hope that the district would not say that anyone over 18 should own a gun, not in this town, and I must say in major cities across the United States, where the greatest upsurge in violence and gun violence has been among teenagers. So I would hope they would say at least 21. The decision said that that our law saying that guns had to have trigger locks on them fortunately left open the notion about trigger locks. It didn't say that the gun cannot be required to have a trigger lock. It said the gun you had to be able to have a loaded gun in your house. The problem with all of this, of course, is having a loaded gun in your home, according to all the experience, means that that gun will be used precisely in the opposite way that the decision interprets. It says it's supposed to be used for self-defense. What is the experience? The experience is somebody gets mad, knows he has a gun, goes out and gets it, up and gets it. We think that the guns will find their ways into the streets. Somebody will say, I'm going to go in my house, I'm supposed to keep it in my house. He's not going to think about what the law is, he's going to bring it out, and he's having a dispute with his neighbor. We now have a huge new pool of guns unless we write very, very strict regulations. And I believe that the job of the district and of other cities who have gun laws as strict as ours is to write regulations as strict as they possibly can, consistent with this decision. And I think there are very, very strict gun laws that can now be written, and we shouldn't hedge on it at all.
Congressmember Eleanor Holmes Norton, Senator Obama responded saying today's decision reinforces if we act responsibly, we can both protect the constitutional right to bear arms and keep our communities and our children safe. Your response?
I believe he must have saying if we act responsibly with the required regulations.
He supported the decision.
Yes, he supported the decision, and I regret that because, but I think that essentially what he's trying to do is to say, I've always said this right, a Second Amendment right. He's from Chicago. His law, the law of Obama Chicago, of Mayor Daley's Chicago, is in many ways like ours, enough like ours so that it now is being challenged. And it probably will fall behind this decision. I think, and even predicted, that neither candidate would try to make a big issue out of this decision. They're both trying essentially to appeal, frankly, to independents, because neither Democrats or Republicans decide presidential contests anymore, and haven't for at least 25 years.
Congressmember Eleanor Holmes Norton, I want to ask you one last question on the position of Barack Obama on a Supreme Court decision, and that is the Supreme Court ruling that the death penalty could not be applied to child rapists, not child murderers, but child rapists. And Senator Obama disagreed with this decision, though he has opposed the death penalty before. In this case, he said, I think the rape of a small child, 6 or 8 years old, is a heinous crime, and if a state makes a decision that under narrow, limited, well-defined circumstances the death penalty is at least potentially applicable, that does not violate our Constitution. Your response?
Well, they say it doesn't. Since they have the last word, they say it doesn't. It doesn't violate the Constitution. If I were Barack Obama, who has the same position, I thought, on the death penalty as I do, and the Supreme Court ruled in that way, I would have to concede that is now the law of the land and regret it. The Supreme Court, I think, has increasingly seen how isolated we are in having a death penalty, especially death penalty, I mean at all, but especially a death penalty that takes in so many crimes. And for those of us who oppose the death penalty, as I had thought Senator Obama did, we are quick to recognize the rule of law, but I don't see how you could say anything different from what the court said. The court said that the death penalty is used when the crime is essentially a crime against the state for the worst crimes. Many of these rapes, they're terrible, terrible things, are rapes, I think even in this case, a rape within the family. The notion of shaving your decision in this way, it seems to me, should be done very carefully. In my case, I would have to recognize what the court said I do not agree with it, and gone on. I understand he's in the middle of a campaign, doesn't want to make a big issue of it. I regret that it looks like he's changed his position on what I regard as a very principled matter.
Congressmember Eleanor Holmes Norton, we thank you for taking the time to be with us. Congressmember Eleanor Holmes Norton represents the District of Columbia. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We'll be back in a minute.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy. Oh, no, oh. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy.